one challenge is I'm a part of a number of engineering organizations. And while I do get some paid speaking opportunities, I attend a lot of conferences for professional development, or I might be presenting my research. And when people expect me to show up, they also expect that they can reach out and say, hey, will you speak? Oh, by the way, we don't have a budget.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Speaker Lab podcast. This is one of our special episodes, my favorite episode, because this is when we get a chance to talk to real speakers out there. Hey, my name is Erick Rheam. I'm a professional speaker. I'm an author, but I'm also a facilitator and former student of the Speaker Lab. Man, I love all things Speaker Lab. It's so fun to come and hang out with other professional speakers, talk shop. I mean, this is the place where we talk all things, man. Grinding, non-grinding, fun stuff, lifestyle, all the above. This is fantastic. Now, I just got off the speaker trail myself. Here's what I want you all to understand. I'm a full-time speaker myself. I ain't messing around. I'm out there too. I mean, our guest coming on today, she can see the smoke literally coming off me right now because I just got off the road. Last week, I was in Chattanooga, Tennessee. Before that, I was in Boise, Idaho. I was in Iowa before that. Tomorrow, I head out to Columbus, Ohio. Then it looks like I'm heading out to Milwaukee. And then after that, it looks like we're going to, looks like Nashville, Tennessee. Then we're going out to Utah. Then we're going out to Ohio for the end of the year. So just fun being out in the speaker trail. Here's what I'm going to tell everybody right now. The speaker land, man, the speaking industry is hot right now. It is hot. I mean, events are hiring speakers. There's a lot to be had out there. That's why we're so excited at Speaker Lab. And I'm so excited to work with speakers that we're bringing on today. Dr. Yvette Pearson's coming on today. So welcome, Yvette. It's good to have you here. Where are you calling in from, Yvette?
Thank you so much for having me. I'm in the Dallas area, and I'll have to say, after listening to the podcast for a year plus since I joined the Speaker Lab, it's exciting to have this opportunity.
Yeah, that's awesome. It's fantastic. I tell you, you've had your own podcast before, right? So
Yes.
it's kind of different though when you're the guest and you go back and listen to it after the fact. It's going to be fun. But I'm so glad that you're willing to come on here, Yvette, and talk about your speaking business because you have to be a little vulnerable and transparent to do that. And thousands of people are going to be listening in and learning from you, which is fantastic. Thank you so much for doing this. Tell us a little bit about what you speak on, Yvette. What's your main topic? What do you speak? What's your signature message, I guess?
Sure. So I'm an engineer by training. I've been in higher education in engineering and STEM disciplines and executive level higher education for a combined total of about 30 years. And so my speaking and also my consulting business, I focus on helping STEM based organizations build people centered cultures so that we have places where everybody can thrive while advancing organizational goals. I think a lot of times as engineers, we remember we're problem solvers, but forget that we're solving problems for, and if we're doing it well, with people. And so a lot of times there's this disconnect between the technical side of engineering and the people serving mission that we all have. And I try to connect those dots.
Yeah, I love that, Yvette. I love that. We get a lot of speakers that come to us that are doing just what you're doing. And I like folks like you that have been doing something for 3 decades. You understand that industry. You understand maybe some of the problems that you need to help them solve. And you're willing to come back and do a couple things, give back to that industry, make it better based on your experiences. And it's going to be a win for you. I can't tell you, all the speakers are listening right now. There's a lot of speakers that have wonderful careers in their industry and they want to continue in that industry, but in a different format. And speaking is a great way to do it. So like in your industry, in the STEM based world, there's all kinds of conferences going on around there and they
Absolutely.
need people like you. Listen, I went to an engineering school. And sometimes engineers need people skills. Come on now. They
We
need some people
always do.
skills.
We always do.
That's right. And so it's good someone like you that understands engineers. You know what's so great about that too, Yvette, is you're a good messenger because they relate to you. They believe in you, right? So you have a lot of credibility because you come from that world. That's awesome. So what's your biggest obstacle right now, Yvette? What can we work with on today? What do you need help with?
Well, I'll give you two and I'll let you pick.
All right. Choose my own adventure.
Yes. So, one challenge is I'm a part of a number of engineering organizations. And while I do get some paid speaking opportunities, I attend a lot of conferences for professional development, or I might be presenting my research. And when people expect me to show up, they also expect that they can reach out and say, hey, will you speak? Oh, by the way, we don't have a budget. And so trying to get out of this um, hamster wheel of speaking for free just because I'm already there and because people in my organizations and people they know that I'll be there and know that I'm kind enough to say yes most time. I'm working on that. The second thing is, and Eric, I so appreciate your coaching during my time in the speaker lab. That power hour seems to be harder and harder to find. I work a full time job in academia. I find that even during lunch breaks, I'm at my computer. And if I do eat, I'm eating and tapping on the computer, chugging away at work. So some days I might be at work from 9 till 7 p.m. without hardly taking a single break. And so by the time I get home, my brain is fried and just trying to find that prospecting time, which I know is the make or break with regarding to speaking business success. It just seems like it's just not it's not there. The time is not there. And I mentioned before my consulting business. So a lot of times when I do get home at god awful hours, I'm working on something for a client or trying to get something off to somebody or reviewing something one of my staff members did. So finding that time to be consistent with the prospecting. So pick one,
That's awesome.
Eric.
Well, let's do the easy one first. The easy one is the time. That one's not as hard because I find that a lot of speakers struggle with this. By the way, you're my favorite type of speaker, Yvette. I love speakers like you because you don't have a lot of time. I actually think speakers that don't have a lot of time are easier to coach than speakers that have too much time. Because we've had speakers like, oh yeah, this is a full time thing for me. Those speakers don't have as much urgency as someone like you, right? So someone like you has a sense of urgency, which means you don't have a lot of time to waste. At the speaker lab, we're really good at not wasting time. Everything we do is is very intentional driven, step driven, process driven, and it can fit whatever time that you can give it. So you mentioned the key word. The key word is consistency.
Mhm.
So time is less relevant for me. Consistency is more relevant. What do I mean by that? Well, the power hour. So Yvette mentions the power hour. So for those that have never been to Speaker Lab, we are big proponents on you only need 1 hour to prospect. Listen, I'm a full-time speaker myself and I've got a pretty big business and I still only prospect 1 hour a day. I could do it all day long if I want to. I don't need to. We don't need to go more than an hour. Here's one thing I would tell you, Yvette, and let me know how this lands for you.
Mhm.
First of all, the power hour doesn't have to be all 1 hour all at once. Okay.
Okay.
It can be broken in chunks. It's not one of those things where you need momentum. Like, oh, if I stop in the middle of it, like if you go for a run, for instance, if you stop in the middle and you try to run again, it's hard to get up, start again. Not the way our power hour is set up. You can start and stop it. No big deal. So the first thing I would recommend is you can't find an hour, but can you find 15 minutes? Can you do that? So that's the first question I have for you.
Okay. Yeah. And thanks for presenting it that way. I think I could squeeze 15 minutes out or
Yeah.
possibly squeeze 15 minutes of brain time in the afternoon or evening once I get home.
Yeah, and the other thing too is the power does not require it doesn't shouldn't have to require too much brain power because it's just mechanical. But what I would do is if you look at it in 15-minute intervals, right, and say I need to knock out what does that come out to? Because I went to public school in Indiana. Is that 4? I'm assuming that's
Four.
4.
Yes.
Yeah, so that's 4 intervals, right? So what I would do if I were in your situation is I would try to say something like, "Can I find two 15-minute intervals before work, one 15 interval during work, and one 15-minute interval after work?" So before work, are you a morning, afternoon, or evening person, would you say?
I used to be more of an evening person, but I
Yeah.
think I'm strongest in the afternoon.
Okay. So I would try to do 2 intervals when you're at your peak if you could,
Okay.
but not necessarily if I mean, you know your schedule better than anyone. So, like, for instance, I will tell you that there's also phases of your business too. And different phase of your business requires different energy and commitment.
Right.
In the beginning, you're going to need to try to get 2 intervals at your peak the best you possibly can. So you need to find two 15-minute intervals somewhere in the afternoon if you can. I'm about to write my next book. which means I'm going to have to get up at 4:30 a.m. every morning for an hour for the next 3 months. I'm not going to have to do that. I'm not going to have to do that forever, Yvette, just for the next 3 months. So I know for the next 90 days or so, I'm going to have to get up at 4:30 a.m. And I write, by the way, everything I do is a power hour. So I'm going to write for an hour, and I'm going to do that consistently for 90 days. I want to have a book at the end of it. So you just need to get that consistent power hour to kind of get things up and running and really find those afternoons. So I'm just curious, where could you find 15 minutes? So let's find 4 of them right now. Where would the first 15 where would that fit in your schedule? Sometime in the morning? Would you be able to get up a little earlier? What does that look like for you?
Yeah, I normally start my mornings with prayer and Bible study. So I could
Yeah.
see myself adding 15 minutes to the beginning of the day
Yeah.
to get started. In the middle of the day, I, I have a lunch break on my calendar to remind me to eat during the day. The
Yeah.
sad thing is, many days I don't actually
Yeah.
take it. But
Yeah.
I guess if I could force myself or maybe find somebody that can be an accountability partner to say,
Mm-hmm.
hey, did you get if I could narrow it down to 30 minutes, that could be the 15 minutes in the middle of the day.
Yeah. Yeah. And also too, I would not even put too much pressure on yourself. If you can't find 2 15-minute intervals, just do one in the afternoon. Just do one. And 15 minutes to me is an easier find than 30 minutes or an hour. So
Mhm.
you could even, here's one thing I had to do because I built my business as a full-time professional too. So I was in the same situation as you were. I was at 60, 80 hours a week working. And so what I would do is at the end of the day, instead of just getting up and leaving, I would say, all right, before I go, I want to do 15 minutes real quick of my power hour. And I just started doing that before I went home. So it was just an extra 15 minutes. When you say that, when you put it in that perspective, it's easier to chew on that than to say, man, I got to find a power hour. Well, can you find an extra 15 minutes here, an extra 15 minutes here? Now, here's the thing.
Mhm.
I want to get you off the hook a little bit, Yvette.
Okay.
I'll take one 15-minute session a day if that's all you can give me in the beginning. I don't care if it's an hour. And here's why. Consistency wins every time. So here's what's going to happen. If you can figure out 15 minutes a day, now everybody's listening to this, like, how are you going to build a speaking business? You're not going to build a speaking business off 15 minutes, but you're going to start,
Start
right?
somewhere.
You're going to start the habit, and what's going to happen is you're going to get 1 or 2 emails off. You're going to get 1 gig you're going to research, and then you're going to go out throughout your day. The next day you're going to do it. And then what's going to happen is you're going to get a response. Something's going to change. Something's going to happen. It's going to get you a little excited, a little motivated because you're going to get a little momentum. It's amazing how you jump on the bandwagon with momentum, right? So you're in Dallas. Dallas just won. They just crushed it, right? If they go on, they make it to the playoffs. It's amazing how many Dallas fans come out of the woodwork because people love momentum. They love championships. Well, that's what's going to happen is if you can carve out 15 minutes a day, do that consistently 5 out of 7 days a week, I know you're back on track. Then over time, if you can get to the 30 minutes a day, that's fantastic. 45 minutes a day. But here's what I don't want. What I don't want you to do is you don't do anything for the next few days because you're like, I can't get an hour in. So you don't do anything. And the next thing you know, a week's gone by, 2 weeks gone by, you haven't done anything. Now that's just demotivating. Like, I guess I'm never going to do this thing because you think it's got to be an hour. But over the last 2 weeks, if you did 10, 15 minutes every day, I guarantee it, something's going to happen because here's what I know in the speaking business. When you do something, something happens. You can't do something 15 minutes a day consistently and not have something happen. You're going to get something happen. Then it'll be amazing how you'll find another 15 minutes here, another 15 minutes there. And then before you know it, you'll have your power hour and you're good to go. And then you'll get into a rhythm. So what I would say is let's start with the first 15 minutes tomorrow.
Okay.
Carve that out right after your Bible study. That's the best time to do it, right after your Bible study. By the way, I do a Bible study too. I was in Psalms today
Okay.
and Proverbs. And so I did that this morning and I did my power hour right after it. And so you could do that. You could do your Bible study and then do a 15-minute session right after that.
Okay.
And then see how that fits. Because here's the thing, Yvette, you're just experimenting. Maybe you just don't like it. It didn't feel good to you. Well, maybe do the 15 minutes before the Bible study. Or maybe do the 15 minutes right when you get to work, or do the 15 minutes right in your lunch session, or 15 minutes right before. Find where that 15 minutes feels good, get into that, and then find your next 15 minutes, right? And just try to be consistent with it. How's that land with you?
I like that, and I especially like your suggestion of tacking it on to the end of the work day before I leave.
Mm.
so that I'm off the boss's clock, but I'm shifting gears so that I'm not thinking about, oh, I've got to do this when I get home on top
Yeah.
of everything else that comes when I get home.
Yeah, I actually do that on my speaking on the speaking trail because that's where I struggle the most because I'm talking to you, I'm talking to myself here too because I got to be consistent as well. So Yvette, when I'm on the trail, speaking trail, when I'm out like when I'm going to be in Columbus, for instance,
Mhm.
it's hard for me to sometimes to get the prospecting in. So I do the same thing. I will actually at the event, I will find a table somewhere, pull up my computer, and do a quick prospecting session before I head to the airport or whatever. So I do it myself too.
All right.
All right, is that helpful?
That's very helpful. Thank
So
you.
I'm just curious, where's that 15 minutes coming to tomorrow? When are you going to carve it in? What do you think?
Tomorrow, I will, well, I will try to do it in the morning, but definitely tack it on to the end of the day
Okay.
before I leave
Now,
work.
what happens if you don't get it done tomorrow? What are you going to do with about that? What's your mindset on that?
I'm gonna just have to figure out where to plug it in and force myself to say, hey, you got to commit to this and
Yeah.
try to find the sweet spots.
Yeah. Well, what I was wanting to kind of coach you through on that is don't beat yourself up. Is what
Mhm.
I'm trying to say because we're not in the beat you up business. We're in the let's evaluate and move forward business.
Yeah.
And so here's something you might want to do that I find helpful. And I actually learned this from Jerry Seinfeld. I read Jerry Seinfeld's book many years ago,
Okay.
watched a documentary on him, and he likes to write a joke a day. And he actually takes out a calendar and puts an X when he finishes his joke.
Mm.
And he tries to string as many days in a row as he possibly can. And if he misses a day, no problem. He just starts a new streak. So you can do that too. You
Mhm.
can gamify it. You can get a calendar. You can find an app probably. And how many 15-minute sessions? I'm not talking about like how many you get in a day. I just want to say at a minimum one each day.
Yep.
How many days can you streak along? Right. And if you, after every fifth one, then give yourself something. What's something that you really crave? Is it coffee? Is it a piece of candy? Or is there a favorite dessert place? You know what I'm saying? Then after every fifth one, you get yourself that coffee or you get yourself that piece of pie that you like. So me, I like Raisinets, man. I don't know why, but I love
I
Raisinets.
love
So after every
Raisinets.
five, I get a box of Raisinets. You know what I'm saying? Something like that. So
Yeah.
you can have fun with it.
I like that. Thank
All
you.
right. So let's talk about your second one. And I'm so glad we get a chance to talk about this
Mhm.
because here's a double-edged sword on what you're trying to accomplish here. Because in the beginning, it's hard, but long term, this is the better play, I think. And what I mean by that is you chosen to speak in the industry that you're already in right now.
Mhm.
So there's a good and bad with that. The good is way better, bigger than the bad. But the bad is, well, let's start with the good first. The good is you know the industry very well and you have credibility. So when you get up there and speak, you're a messenger that they can accept.
Mhm.
Not maybe me. Maybe I can't speak it to them as well because I don't know what it's like to be them. You do. You do. So that the credibility is off the charts. The bad part is they see you as an equal, they see you as a colleague, they see you as what is called an industry speaker. So
Mhm.
there's two types of speakers. There's an industry speaker and a professional speaker. An industry speaker, so let's think about an average conference that you go to.
Mhm.
The average conference has maybe an opening keynote, maybe a general session, maybe a closing keynote. They've probably got maybe one, two, maybe three, maybe four spots for professional speakers they have a budget for.
Yep.
Then they have 10 or 15 spots for industry speakers. These are people that are experts in their field.
Mhm.
Maybe they wrote an article on something, they have a skill set and they want you to teach on that, to speak on that, but there's no expectation to pay because it's kind of a win-win. It's kind of good for the credibility of the person in that industry to get up and speak to their colleagues. That's a
Right.
credible building thing. And so that's kind of the win there, but there's no expectation to pay. Right now, you're seen as an industry speaker. You have to break out of that. Okay. I had to do the same. So I speak in the utility industry. In the beginning, nobody took me seriously because they just saw me as, oh, we know Erick is the utility guy. Oh, I know Dr. Pearson as the engineer that I've seen at these conferences for the last 2 decades, 3 decades. Now she's what, a speaker? So you have to kind of work through that. So you can do that. Let's talk about maybe a couple of interactions you had. Let's just talk through it. So what
Okay.
was one of the recent ones you had where they wanted you to come speak, but they didn't want to pay you? Kind of walk me through how that went.
Okay. Actually, just last week, A couple of weeks ago, a group reached out to me, and there's a conference that's going to be in Houston, so not too far away. And
They reached out to you.
they reached out to me.
That's good.
I did the phone call. I did all of the things that I've been taught well to do by you and others at the Speaker
Mm-hmm.
Lab. And so we had the phone call, and I, had the whole conversation, got a feel for what the conference is about. It is an organization I'm a member of. And with with that, I was kind of familiar with the conference anyway, but I wanted to make sure I got the planners' perspective on what they were trying to achieve for this event. So we had the whole conversation, and they never mentioned anything about budget or anything. So near the end of the conversation, I asked, "Would you mind telling me what budget you're trying to stay within? I want to make sure that the proposal I send aligns with what you're looking for."
Mm-hmm.
And it was crickets. It was like they hadn't even thought about anything, even considering that I have to travel from Dallas to Houston
Mm-hmm.
and stay overnight. And
Mm-hmm.
so I interrupted the awkward silence. I said, "How about this? I'll send you something with my, aligned with what we talked about today, and I'll put my regular fee. However, because this is an organization I care deeply about, I'll also offer a discount." And I told them I would build that in. And I told them part of it is an award ceremony. So I told them I would also gift signed copies of my books to all of the awardees. And I had told
Mm-hmm.
them that already before. So I sent the proposal. And just before we got on this recording, I sent a follow up email because I hadn't heard anything.
Okay.
So
How long between the proposal and the follow up email?
I sent the proposal on Wednesday of last week, and today
Okay.
is Monday.
When's the conference?
The conference is in November, so it's
Oh,
pretty tight here.
okay. All right. So, how much did you put on the proposal did you put on the proposal what you normally charge?
Yes, I did, but
What's that number?
my normal fee for a keynote is 5,000 plus travel.
Okay. All right. So you were right there. You pulled back. You got too scared. You were right at the finish line. You were so
Okay.
close. Yeah. And that is when the silence, whoever speaks first after the silence loses,
Ah.
right? And you spoke first.
Okay.
So next time, just be silent. Give them a chance to process it and let them respond. I just had this happen to me, by the way. So somebody asked me to speak at a virtual event, and after it was done, I said, "All right, what do you so what's the budget?" And they same thing. They looked at me, and I looked at them. They looked at me. I looked at them. They looked at me, and they said, "Well, what are you thinking?" Right? All right. So let's talk this through. First of all, you sent them. What are you willing to do it for now? If they come back and they said you'll do a discount, what are you willing to do it
I
for?
would do it for half that for this organization.
Okay. So here's and to do it for half, that's $2,500. It's
Plus
mainly basically to
travel.
trade
Mhm.
plus to pay for your plus travel,
Yes.
25 plus travel.
Mhm.
Okay. All right. So here's a couple things you want to think about. Number one, have you spoke at this event before? Is this the first time?
Not at this particular event.
So you never spoke there before.
No, I've spoken for this organization, but not for this
Okay.
event.
All right. So for this organization you spoken, how many times have you spoken for them?
I've spoken for them once, actually. Earlier this year, I did a panel at the national conference. So this is the regional conference.
Okay. And you didn't have the phone call and the budget discussion with them on that one, I'm assuming.
No, I didn't.
Okay. So
And
this is
it's different organizers, and that
okay.
was one that I ended up just doing for free. I was literally doing a session next door to the session they asked me to be part of, and
Yeah.
it was for the audiences ended up blending in the end, and
Okay.
so I ended up doing that one for free.
Okay. All right. So let's talk about then what we want to do change next time. So on this set, you were right. You did everything right. You asked them what their budget was. You did everything perfectly. Move ahead of the class. You got an A plus, Yvette. If I was giving you a grade, you got an A plus. You did fantastic. So now what we want to do in the future is going into it. You need to know what your minimum and what you would like to ask. So you said you'd normally ask for 5,000. That's the goal.
Mhm.
What would be your minimum, meaning that you have to get at least that? What would that be that in your opinion?
Um, For this type of event, it would normally be 3,000 plus
Okay, so you
plus
got
the
a three to
travel.
$5,000 window, which means that if they're not willing to meet the 3,000, you're willing to walk away. Is that what it means?
Yes.
Okay, so that's your walkaway price. So that's number one. You got to have that in your mind, and you got to be prepared to actually walk away. That's important. Now, so what you want to do in this situation is you would say, okay, what's your budget? Okay, and then wait for them to respond. They're either going to say we don't have a budget. What were you thinking? That's when you say, well, normally I charge 5,000. How's that land with you? And
Okay.
they'll say, well, that's way too much. Well, what are you thinking then? Because then you can have the discussion.
Hmm.
And they could say, well, normally we wouldn't even pay for this. I said, yeah, I understand. And then at this point, Yvette, this is where you're just going to have to start getting used to saying this and say, listen, I understand. I am transitioning to a more professional setting, and I'm leveling up my game here. And at a minimum, I got to do it for at least $3,000 at a minimum, or this is probably not going to work out. And then let them see what they say. They may say, well, Yvette, we appreciate that, we understand that, but this is not something we could pay for. Then what you can do then is say, yeah, not a problem. Now, would you attend the conference, by the way, Yvette? Or are you not going to attend it at all?
This conference I was not planning to attend.
Okay, good. Then I want to make sure you're not like, all right, good. So you're not even attended. So you just got to be prepared to say, okay, it's got to be at least three. So here's what I do. I'll say, Yvette, normally this is $5,000. How's it land? Well, we're thinking more 1,500. Well, my minimum would be 3,000.
Hmm.
Now, at that point, you could actually negotiate a little bit. You could say, well, normally it's 3,000, and they will say, well, we could probably scrape up maybe with some sponsors, maybe 2,500.
Hmm.
And now you're pretty close, and you can say, okay, I can probably dip down to 2,500. You have to see if travel's still going to work for them. They may say no. You have to just think about that. And then you can say, then would you be open to, are you guys recording the event or something like that? You
Hmm.
can talk about assets and things like that. But the main thing is you've got to, before you get off the phone, you guys have to discuss numbers.
Hmm.
Okay. All right, now let's talk about what's happening. So what's actually happened is you sent them a proposal, you offered all this stuff, and they haven't got back with you. That's pretty normal, even though it's coming up in November. They're probably trying to figure some things out. So what I would do is you sent them a second email. What'd you say in the second email?
I just sent an email asking if they've had a chance to review it. If they had any questions, please let me
Perfect.
know how they want to proceed, or if you can get
Okay.
back with me if they have questions.
Okay. One thing I wanted to mention too. Did you mention the date? What's the actual date of it? November what?
Um, the Saturday before Thanksgiving, whatever that date is.
Okay. Did you? So one thing you want to do in the future when it comes to the pricing, and I just did this actually today with an event planner. I put down, okay, November. Let's say it's 18th. So November 18th or whatever the date is, I can put a hold on it. Doesn't commit you to anything, but it gives you first right of refusal. What you're
Hmm.
doing is you're kind of getting them leaning towards you, and see if they're interested or not. If they don't even want to put a hold on it, that tells you they're not interested. But if
Okay.
they say, yeah, we could put a hold on it, give us a chance to run this up the chain of command or our leadership.
Hmm.
So what you've done is you've discussed price. You even said, I'll put a hold for you. And that helps with future emails, because in
Hmm.
future emails, you can say, I've still got this on hold. Do I need to release this, or do we want to move forward? In order to
Yeah.
lock this in, I need to get an agreement with you. So it keeps the discussion going. And here's the fun part, and this actually just happened to me today. What if somebody contacts you and they want the exact same date? Now you've got leverage. Now you go back to them and say, someone else wants the date. Do you want to go ahead and lock it in, or do you want to release it? I'm about to have this conversation with another company that has me on hold. I want to ask him, do you want to lock me in, or do you want to release it? So you get a lot of leverage with doing that.
Yeah, yeah. I like that. And I actually did that for an event a few months ago. They reached out to me, I want to say in the February timeframe for a June conference. And it was butting right up against travel for a research conference I was
Yeah.
attending. But if they scheduled me for that Monday, I could still get out of there Monday night and get to my
Yeah.
research conference presentation. And so we had that very same conversation about holding the date. Didn't necessarily put it where you know kind of setting up the competition for the time, but that just saying that I was holding the date gave me something to follow up on
Right.
while
And
I
and
was waiting for them to review the proposal.
That's awesome. And you want to use this specific language. You want to say, all right, once you guys talk that maybe you're close to price or they need to talk to their leadership, what you need to say is, how about I go ahead and hold the date for you and say this? It doesn't commit you anything, but it protects you, because if someone else wants to hire me, at least you get first right of refusal. And then mention this: in order to lock it in, we need an agreement and we need a 50% deposit. Now, for the November, you're not going to get that because it's too close. But most of the time, the events are 6 months out, 9 months out, or something like that.
Right.
So you say, I need a 50% deposit and I need an agreement to lock it in. So what you're doing is you're starting to push them towards you. Because what I found is, if somebody's on the fence, once you start having those discussions, you get them off the fence pretty quickly, because now they're starting to make commitments,
Right.
before they even realize they were doing it, they start making commitments. All right. Now, a couple things I want to mention. The reason why I asked you if you spoke here before, and this is for everybody that's listening, a lot of you will have to, especially if you're in an industry that people already know you in, you're going to have to be willing to do a two-step. Now, when I say this, don't get upset with me, Yvette, because the one thing you said is you want to stop doing free gigs. However, if you have a two-step in mind, it's okay to come in with the free gig if you have to. But what you're going to do is, after the event's over, you're going to have an exit interview. By the way, even if you're doing it for free, I still want you to sign a contract with them and put down your fee and put down waived. So they see that you normally charge for it. Get them used to seeing that.
Yeah.
Then you're going to have an exit interview with them. Now, here's one thing I've always done is I've always delivered more than what they paid me for. So if I did a free gig, they got a $5,000 talk. If they pay me $5,000, they got a $10,000 talk. So I always do deliver more than what they paid me for. That way, in the exit interview, you're going to ask them, hey, let's talk about how things went. What would the surveys look like? I just did the exit interview today with an event planner, and they said, Erick, you crushed it. You are our best speaker, that kind of thing. You want them to start saying it, because when they say it out loud, Yvette, they're going to be like, wow, Yvette actually crushed it. She did a good job. And then you're going to follow up with, okay, let's work together again. What's that look like? So what you've done is you've proven yourself. So now when they say, oh, well, we do have another event, and then you ask the budget, it's easier for them to digest it now, because you've just delivered. You just showed them how good of a speaker you are. So that helps with them accepting payment next time. Now, they might not even pay you the next time. And the only reason why I know this, Yvette, because this happened to me, where I did a thing out in Texas, ironically. It was out in Austin. I did 2 keynotes for them for free, 2. The third one, I said, listen, I can't do it for free anymore. You're going to have to pay me. And they paid me on the third one, and they paid me on the fourth one. They paid me on the fifth one, but I had to do 2 free. But I kept going back to the well, kept doing a good job until they were willing to pay me. So it took me 2 iterations. So how's that land with you when you hear that process?
No, I like that. And I hadn't thought about doing the contract even for the free speaking gigs and the routine follow up. I did start doing that again with your coaching sessions during the speaker lab. How you had us to go back and look at the free gigs we had done the past 12 to 18 months and just reach out
Yep.
to those folks. So I had started doing that, but I hadn't thought about the immediate follow up interview
Yeah.
with a signed contract that says, fee waived or what have you. So
Yeah.
I'll
Yeah.
definitely
I do
will
that all
try
the
that.
time.
Yeah.
Yeah, because what it does is a couple things. It gets you used to the process, because you got to learn this process. Number 2, it sets them up that, hey, you're a professional, so they're getting a little bit from you because you're waiving it, but understanding you're setting it up for the future conversations.
Sure.
And at a minimum, too, let's say you do the exit interview, and they're just the ones that they're just not going to be able to pay you, all right, for whatever reason. Well, you're going to get assets out of it, because they're going to be a reference, they're going to be a testimonial, and they're going to give you references to 2 other people that they know that probably could pay you. So you got to think of the long game here, right? So even if you did a free gig, doesn't mean you get nothing out of it. You're going to get assets and referrals and maybe a future business from them where they're willing to pay you. So a lot of times event planners, they got to get to know you a little bit, and they got to see that you're for real before they're willing to start taking finite numbers money, because they're not going to give it to somebody else. They're going to give it to you. So you got to prove yourself a little bit, especially if you're in the industry that they already know you on. But here's the good news, though. Once they start paying you, they're going to pay you for life, because now you're that industry, that speaker that used to be industry. Now you're professional. You know the industry. I'm telling you, on the flip side of it, they're going to pay you all the time. Once they get past that threshold, they're going to pay you all the time, if that makes sense.
Yes, yes. I like that.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So, Yvette, let me encourage you for a second because, and this is for all the speakers out there, most speakers that are taking this seriously, and at Yvette, you're one of them, is most of you are just a couple tweaks away from greatness. You're not that far off. So you were really close actually, because you asked them what the budget was. You got nervous at the end because there was silence. If you just would have maybe waited one or two more beats, maybe you would have been right there. Who knows? But the bottom line is you're right there. And here's the other thing. You may not win this gig coming up. Let's say that they blow you off, or they say they're not interested or whatever.
Mhm.
Even though this sounds counterintuitive, I want you to reach out to them again next cycle, next year, and do it all over again,
Okay.
because they may not pay you this time because maybe they already blew their budget
Mhm.
with another speaker. You don't know why, but you know you're in the game. Stay in the game and go and reach out to them again, because guess what? Next time, let's say you reach out to them in 7 months from now, and by that time you've had 2 or 3 paid gigs. Guess what?
Right.
Now you got momentum and they're seeing your name out there. That happened to me in the beginning where people wouldn't take me seriously. And then they started seeing my name out there, like, Erick, you're speaking. Erick. One person even said, I didn't know you had it in you. I'm like, well, what'd you think, man? But once you start getting momentum, it's amazing how they look at you differently. So just because they said no this
Mhm.
time doesn't mean they won't say yes the second time around. I mean yes that they will pay you.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, I like that. Thank you.
Yeah. One last thing. You have some other speakers in mind that you work with that are not professionals, but they're industry speakers, probably people you have respect for, I'm
Yes.
assuming.
Hmm.
So keep that in your back pocket and maybe talk to them ahead of time, because here's what you don't want to do, if you can. Don't say no to somebody without giving them something. So if
Hmm.
I say no, Yvette, I just can't do it unless we can come to agreement on the 3,000. But if we can't come to agreement, I do have a colleague of mine that speaks on something similar. I could refer you to them. They probably would be willing to do it for free, as long as you maybe offer them a registration or something like that. That way they get a win and you still take care of them, if that makes sense.
Yes, I like that. Yeah. And actually, I had someone call me, a colleague, and I would have done it for this university for free because this particular dean had done a favor for me. And
Yeah,
so I would have done it for free. My schedule just didn't align with what they needed. And so it
yeah,
was that sort of thing. Let me help you find somebody who can fill in this gap.
that's awesome.
Yeah.
So what's your big takeaways? Give me a couple takeaways you're going to take away from this call, Yvette.
Don't speak first.
Yeah, yeah. When you start talking
When you
price,
start
yes.
talking about money, don't speak first. Let them speak first. Certainly the follow through on, if I'm doing a free gig, to go ahead and do the contract with fee waive and have the same kind of follow up conversation. And then on the power hour time, split up the time, take it in chunks where I
Hmm.
can find it, and don't beat myself up if I don't get it done every day. But I like your idea of marking the calendar and having some reward at the end of
Yeah.
some period of time that I've been consistent.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yvette, you're so freaking close. You're so close. You're very articulate, very sharp, very easy to listen to. You're a great student, and you just got to get a couple consistent rounds in there, and some things are going to open up to you. So here's what I know to be true, because we've worked with a lot of speakers, is that there's going to be an inflection point in your speaking business. I know this for a fact. So
Mhm.
if you get the consistent power hours in, like we're talking about, you start making a couple of these tweaks we just discussed, at some point you're going to hit an inflection point. I don't know when that inflection point is going to happen, but I know it's going to happen with confidence. I know it'll happen.
Mhm.
And then what's going to happen, Yvette, is you're going to be in a situation where you're it's going to be like you got one foot on the pier, which is your current life right now,
Mhm.
and you're going to have one foot in the boat, which is your speaking business. And the boat's going to start pulling away from the pier, and you're going to have to make a decision, because you're going to start getting some momentum. You're going to start getting paid. Money's going to start coming in, and you're going to have to make a decision. Do I stay on the pier or I stay on the boat? It's a very scary thing.
Mhm.
But I got to tell you, I've been there. And when you had to step off the pier and I had to go on the boat and become a full time professional speaker, it was the most exhilarating thing I've ever done. But it was on the other side of a lot of frustrating days, just trying to figure it out where you are right now. But you're close. This has been awesome. This has been life giving. Thank you, Yvette, for being here.
Thank you. I really appreciate your insight and your time.
Yeah. Well, this has been fun. This has been a special episode because we were able to dive really deep with Yvette. She's a great student. She's fantastic. And you know what's nice about Yvette and what she brought to the table is she brought real world problems that we can solve, right? What she didn't bring was theoretical problems. And a lot of times as speakers, as entrepreneurs, we're always thinking about, well, what if? What if this happens? What if this happens? Well, what if it happens? Nobody knows. Let's wait till it happens. Well, she's knee deep in it. She just mentioned, I love when she said, this just happened. I just had the proposal. I just sent an email. What do I do? We can coach that, right? She just said, I'm busy. I can't figure out when to carve out this time. We can coach that. Like Grant always says, you can't steer a parked car. Well, guess what? Yvette is not a parked car. She is a moving vehicle. We're steering here to make sure she stays within the guardrails, and we're going to get her to greatness. This is fantastic. Hey, listen, if you've been listening to this podcast episode, you're like, man, he's speaking to me right now. He's like, he's reading my mail. There's all this stuff I need to do, and you want to figure some things out. Hey, we'd love to help you. If all you do is listen to this podcast, that's fantastic. But if you want to go to the next level, please come check us out at the Speaker Lab and let us know how we can do to help you. Go check out our website. We'd love to hang out with you. We'd love to work with you, love to coach with you. This is kind of what you get. You get a little bit of a glimpse of how we work with our speakers, like Yvette and thousands of others. You guys are awesome. My name is Erick Rheam. I'm a professional speaker and author, but I'm also your guide on this journey. It's been fantastic hanging out with you. We'll see each and every one of you on the next episode. We'll talk to you soon.